Beautiful bipeds, it is I, Christina, here at Fit and Bendy in Los Angeles, and this video is for those of you who are struggling with these tight forward rounded shoulders. And one of the things that you can do to start to open that up is stretch your pec muscles. Those are the big muscles that connect your arm bone to your chest through the front, and they can get very tight from this kind of activity. For those of you who like to do a lot of bench presses and push-ups, that can kind of exacerbate this forward rounding position. And then when you go to stretch them, oh, your shoulders feel very tight. So we're gonna do one of my favorite pec stretches. It really gets all the different fibers of the pectoral muscle. And we're gonna do a little experiment to see if your shoulders feel more flexible afterwards. I really hope they do. All right, all you need for this is a wall. So let's get started. So we're going to start with just a little test of your shoulder flexibility. So find your wall. You're going to put your hands on the wall about shoulder height, shoulder width apart, and take a small step back, making sure to keep your hips over your feet and dropping your armpits down towards the floor. Now, as you do this, you're just checking in to see how your shoulders feel, how much tightness is there, and particularly looking for if they're feeling really stuck and forward rounded. Maybe you have a pinching in the shoulder socket as you try to stretch. We don't want to push into that feeling. Instead, we want to do some work to open it up before we try to do a deeper shoulder stretch. So this is my favorite pec stretch. You're going to stand with your left side towards the wall to start and reach your arm all the way up over your head. And you're trying to slide your hand as far up towards the ceiling as you possibly can. We're just going to press that armpit in towards the wall, feeling that stretch of the side of the body, a little bit of the lat. And then we're going to start to get into the pec. So you're going to take that hand, imagine that it's the hand of the clock, and we're going to move that hand from 12 back to 11. And this immediately starts to get into the pec. Now, if this feels like too much stretch, you can reduce the amount of stretch by taking a step away from the wall, and that will make it a little bit less intense. If you want to make it more intense, the closer you get to the wall, the more stretch you're going to get. But it's very important that you don't get so close to the wall that this shoulder gives up and starts to roll in, because that's the problem that we're trying to counter. So find an amount of stretch that feels right for you, where this line up your arm and into your chest is nice and open. Now we're going to move the hand, I think I already did, to 10 o'clock. So every time we move that hand to a different position on the wall, we're getting a slightly different stretch of the same muscle, the pec muscle, that runs from the arm all the way over here to the sternum. You can also take your opposite hand. I like to just kind of poke around there, just encourage my pec to relax a little bit. And then finally, we're going to move it all the way down to 9 o'clock. And in this position, I'm going to start to soften my knees a little bit and take a small rotation to my right. And that again is going to intensify the stretch. And I'm actively pressing my hand into the wall. So I'm engaging the pec as I stretch it. So I can do some little twists here, working into that muscle. And then you can use your breath, big breath into your chest, to create even more stretch. And wiggle the fingers if it feels nervy. And shake it out, shake it out. Same thing on the right side. You can see what it looks like from the back. So I'm going to bring my hand all the way up the wall, reaching up towards the ceiling, and start by just getting that stretch of the lat as I press my armpit into the wall. Usually that's the most relaxing part of the whole thing. Now from here, my hand is at 12. I'm going to move it back to 1 o'clock. Immediately the stretch starts to get into the pec muscle. And I can feel that stretch. I'm still trying to walk the hand out a little bit further, make sure that I've got length in that shoulder socket. You never want to feel crunched in here. I'm always trying to walk the hand as far away from me as I can go in order to get the shoulder in the optimal position. And again, you can take a little step away or a little step closer depending on how your shoulder flexibility feels today. Now let's try to go for 2 o'clock. So this starts to get into the pec minor. You might start to feel this in your bicep, in your elbow, so many different places you can feel this stretch. Again, if it feels nervy, you can just wiggle your fingers. That helps to release that nerve. And then we're going to lower the hand down to 3 o'clock. And at this height, again, it's very important to feel that lengthening out of the shoulder socket. I'm trying to get my fingers as far away from my spine as possible. Soften the knees and turn your body a little bit to the left to maximize that stretch. Big deep breaths into that right pec muscle, the right rib cage expanding to create the stretch. We can press the hand into the wall and do some gentle pulses into the muscle. So very gentle, just encouraging it to open up a little bit more. One more breath. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those fingers as needed. And then come on out and shake it out. So now that we've stretched out those pecs so nicely in all their different angles, let's go back to that shoulder stretch and see how it feels. So exact same setup, hands on the wall. I'm going to take a little step back and drop my armpits down towards the floor. Now for me, that always makes a big difference. Immediately I can sink a lot deeper into my shoulder flexibility because the pecs are one of my limiting factors. It may be the case for you as well, that all of a sudden that second shoulder stretch feels radically different than the first one. If that's the case for you, stretching your pecs is going to be a wonderful part of your shoulder warm-up. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you want more nerdiness and a whole bunch of shoulder workouts and other mobility stretches, please check out all the links below and subscribe to Fit and Bendy's channel. I love to hear from you, comment on it, and as always, many happy bendings.